Welcome to Your Village People, the podcast where we unpack the chaos, drama, and downright absurdity of family life.
Indeed.
Because, it's always the people closest to us that challenge us the most.
Yes, sir. And in other words, it just means sometimes home is where the wahala is.
I'm Saudarian Queen, and you can find me on Instagram, Twitter, Threads, TikTok at Saudarian Queen. And this is the talented, amazing, global superstar,
Princess Wonder.
And where can we find you?
You can find me on Instagram at official Princess Wonder. That's WONDA to be precise. And you can Google me for the rest because it's easier. It's just easier.
She said Google me. Google her. Don't Google me. Google Princess Wonder. And while you're Googling her, please don't forget to stream her music, add all her songs to your playlist. And while you're at it, if you want to look as cute as we do with our I Am the Moment and you want to be in the moment, head over to Official Princess Wonder Instagram page. Link is in the bio and you can get one of these cool jumpers.
Hey, we like it. We like it. So,
what have you got for us today?
woo, child, today.
Today, this week, shall we say this week? Today.
This day that the Lord has made.
Amen.
Am I the asshole for refusing to buy my mom's council property?
Ooh.
Hey, wow.
Ooh.
I like hearing stories from guys.
Me too. I do this something. And thank you for writing. Yeah, I love hearing stories from guys.
Do you know what I mean? I just feel like a lot of the times we women are the ones ranting, but it's nice to hear from guys too. Okay, let's go. I know how this email sounds, but let me give you some context here. When I was 22, I worked and saved enough to buy my first property.
Oh. Wait.
Yes, you get a float. You get a float for that one. I had just graduated with a mechanical engineering degree, and I had been living alone since I was 17. That's an Odogu in the making.
That is clearly
Odogu in the making.
in my head that sounded like dogu, but yeah.
It's okay. You tried.
To practice.
Yeah, we need to work on this for sure. So, needless to say, my relationship with my mum was turbulent due to her husband, hence me working like a dog to pay rent from my late teens. Doing research, I saw some properties I liked, especially in Hertfordshire. I worked in North London at the time, so I was prepared for the commute.
Okay.
I also knew I had the deposit and I could afford paying the mortgage for the properties I selected. Also, at 22, I knew very little of the property industry. I just thought if you had the money, you would buy the house. Then, I don't know what came over me, but I decided to tell my mum what I was going to, maybe he was trying to say, he wanted to speak to a mortgage advisor and he happened to tell his mum. He doesn't know why he told his mum. She insisted on being there and her needing to follow me. She insisted on being there and her needing to follow me.
Okay.
And that she wanted to help me any way she could.
Okay.
I didn't think I needed help. But as I said, the numbers made sense for me and I could afford everything.
Right.
I agreed after constant badgering. And so we went to the mortgage advisor. I was so excited at the moment. And then reality set in. Oh boy.
What reality?
Although I could afford the mortgage and had the deposit as well as lawyer fees,
right,
due to my age and having no credit history, I would not be approved for a mortgage without a guarantor.
Oh, yes. So that is where his parents, this is where we as parents have to really step in with our children to help them to build credit.
Yeah.
So that you can have a credit.
It sounds like he's been working for so long.
Yeah, but he probably was thinking cash is king, saving his money.
Yeah.
Pay
your rent.
A lot of African people,
yeah,
we are taught to save. Cash is king.
Yep. If you don't have the money, you don't have it.
If you don't have the money, don't buy it.
Yep.
That's why you'll find a lot of us want to buy cars cash, want to do everything that we can. Cash. Because we don't want to have that devil of a credit, not knowing
that is your savior.
That is your savior, because the better your credit is, the more that opens your horizon, expands,
Exactly.
especially when you want to make a big purchase,
Exactly.
like a home.
Right. I would not be approved for a mortgage without a guarantor. I just needed the name.
Okay, so he just needed a guarantor then.
Yeah. I just needed the name of someone with good credit on the application, no monetary assistance required. This felt like a kick in the gut because I have worked hard all these years and got refused a mortgage approval because I had no credit history.
Yeah, but his mom is there now.
Yeah.
I just want to say that, guarantor, in South Africa, we call it signing surety. That it's a biblical principle of mine that I always live by. You don't sign surety for anybody. Mm-hmm. However, I would sign surety for my children.
Absolutely.
If it meant them getting a house, getting them out of trouble, whatever it needs, I would definitely sign surety.
Imagine him now saying, Mom, I don't need money, I just need your name.
That is usually what a guarantor is. And after a while, that would fade. When he comes to renewing his mortgage, he would have then seen that he needs credit, right? Open a credit card, get his credit rolling, had time to get that because usually we renew mortgage 5 years or something like that, and he would have gotten a great interest.
Okay, let's read on. The advisor asked if my mom would be willing to be the guarantor. Surprise, surprise, she says no. Her reason was that in the near future, she plans to buy her council house with her husband, and she did not want her helping me to hinder her process. I'm a hindrance, mommy. Okay. This was devastating. I wished she never came because I wouldn't have been teased with the possibility of getting my place. I would have just walked away knowing I tried. Months later, while I was still feeling defeated, my mum manipulated that deposit money right out of my hands to complete her house in Nigeria. Our relationship continued to deteriorate.
Wait, what?
Yeah. Our relationship continued to deteriorate, adding to our long-standing issues, and the same occurred with her husband. 5 years later, I bought my first home. 2 years after, during the pandemic, she suggested I help her purchase the same council house of hers in my name because the mortgage would be too high at her age. Her husband is a freeloader with no plans to contribute or be useful, so there's that. I told her I'll discuss it with my wife, but the answer was always going to be no. I have a young family now and am in no position to take on a second mortgage in my name. My family is also growing and we are looking for a bigger home. I also find this level of karma crazy because none of her other adult children fathered by her husband were financially able to step in. I must say, I enjoyed saying no. So am I the asshole?
You are not the asshole. You are not the asshole. In fact, you deserve the award.
I don't even know where to unpack that.
I cannot tell you how sad I am right now that is a man that would have had a home in Hertfordshire. And when was that? When was he wanted to buy? This is
technically 7 years ago because 2 years after the pandemic, during the pandemic. So we're talking, this is like over 10, 15 years ago.
Can you imagine?
Wow.
Like how far he would have been?
Yeah.
Mortgage, like just financially, just because now he's saying he has a family.
Yeah, he wants a bigger place. Yeah.
And all of that. And had she helped him then...
Maybe he could have even helped you now.
It could have helped now.
He could have actually helped her now.
This is what parents don't understand as well. I think... Okay, so he's got other siblings. So he's fathered by her husband. So this means he's the one that's only child of the mom from the other previous relationship. So, yeah, these dynamics sound...
It's crazy to me that a mom who because clearly, look, let's divide it small. Clearly, this guy knows the stepdad and him, they don't get along by the sound of things. This guy does not care because if your child moves out at 17 and you don't feel a type of way about it,
letting my son move out at 17. He's not ready to live on his...
Because he hates where he lives, clearly.
No, my son would be ready to move out now even and live by himself. Not that I'm saying that, he's 12.
Yeah.
But he can do a lot of his very I teach him to clean, cook, all those things and everything.
But guess what? He's still mommy's boy.
At 17, that's diabolical.
He ain't going nowhere. 17. Boy, he ain't going nowhere. But imagine this guy is saying he hustled. He said he was like
how much he was working to save enough money.
He's a mechanical engineer.
Save money to buy a property at that time, and his mom still wouldn't let.
Which means he was working full time, because that's the only way.
It's the only way you're gonna find. But aren't you proud of your son? Don't you want to be part of that success? And don't you want to, if you can help in any way that you can? Are you saying the father of the children? I think there's something there.
Of course, he can't stand him. He refuses to say stepdad.
Yeah.
That fathered her husband.
Yeah.
And I just think as well, like, he reminds me of those guys that are like, even though people might think he might have a chip on his shoulder, he does this thing where it's like, I will prove you wrong by being a better person.
By being a better person. But can we also just talk about, gave her the deposit money.
And she took it.
She swindled him out of the deposit money. And
Mommy
then
the swindler.
Wait, for the house in Nigeria. But now, why didn't she put that money then into the council house?
Common sense now. It might not have looked like common sense then. But obviously, you can't put money into a council property, I believe, while you're still under the council because it's just considered rent. Your rent is what you use.
But then why did you tell you you didn't need that money then?
For her house now.
No, because you're not living in that house in Nigeria full time.
That is also a valid point.
And you don't need it more than your son does. You know that your son... and
he's young. He'll find it again. I don't know. I'm trying to rationalize why you think that that's okay. And knowing your husband is sitting at home, not contributing in any way. And now,
that's wild. He said that the guy's a waste man. Yeah.
Hey.
The guy's a waste man. That is the worst kind of man.
I'd rather he be absent, actually.
I'd rather... Yeah, please don't be a waste man.
Like, what is the purpose of you just freeloading, as he called him a freeloader, which means you were happy that this boy left the house that young, but you were okay taking from him in any other capacity. You graduated with a mechanical engineering degree. You, in this time, managed to work full time to save up to buy, not even, if he said it was shared ownership, I'm sure he would have, but let's just assume it wasn't. He paid enough for, he paid enough to get a deposit on a property in Hertfordshire, and he would have had no problem paying his mortgage all by himself. And I feel like in this day and age, I really want to commend men who come from very, very, very toxic homes and very unhealthy parental structures, and they still manage to be like, well, instead of I might as well.
They do better.
Like, they do better. They're like,
they turn it completely around and be the person that they wanted to have.
Exactly. And I just feel like in a situation like that, even if you're the kind of mom that's like cutthroat and, you know, don't really have that maternal instinct, because not all moms have that, you should still respect your son. Like, yo, this boy, despite what I know I put him through, he's still flourishing. But now it's more like, okay, well, you're fine, so aren't you going to help me now?
It'd be interesting to see I want to know what the relationship is like now. So if this... It would be interesting to know what the relationship is like now. But for anybody else who's going, I think my message to any young men out there is definitely get your degree.
Yes.
Stay away from gangs. Mm-hmm. Don't think that people are your friends. Let me tell you, I tell my son every single day, the only thing you need in this life is an education. And keep on getting better at your craft and doing what you're doing and make money.
Agreed.
Money will get you the house. It will get you the girl. It will get you whatever you want. It will open doors and opportunities, lead you to places. That is what money will do. And men are the gatherers, the hunter-gatherer. They are just that. That is what if you as a man have your stuff together, you will have everything. That's why he can now build this and he has everything is going to come.
That's what being a king looks like, in my opinion. Some of you small boys are out here looking to be passenger princesses.
Now, that is not... And also, this is not the podcast for you. If you are... Please, pass. Because we don't want... No, that is not the energy that we want here, because there are clear, definitive roles of a man and a woman. Go and argue with the rest of Instagram.
And can we say, like, I love his evolution as well. Like, you know, the point where his mum was able to clearly tug on his heartstrings and his need for a connection by manipulating that money out of his hands.
But it was just about the money. The mom has shown her hand, because she is not just, she didn't care about her son or his wife. Because if she did, she would have been
because it sounds like she's had ample opportunity to at least
she would have given that surety.
Yeah.
She would have given that, be the guarantor. If she really wanted her son to be successful. It's vulnerable and incredibly inspiring.
I agree.
For anybody else, any other guy who's listening, maybe there's a young man who wants to buy his first property, who's facing struggles. And if you guys are looking for any kind of help, we can always point you guys in the right direction. If you say like, I want to buy my first home, where do I go? Who do I speak to? We could always find people that we could help you with and link you up with. Your story shows deep emotional maturity, resilience, and a clear commitment to protecting your peace and prioritizing your own family. Despite the early challenges and disappointments, especially with someone as pivotal as your parent, you never lost sight of your goals. You didn't just survive, you persevered. You grew stronger and made something incredible out of tough circumstances. Buying your first home 5 years later on, no matter how big or small it is, on your own terms, is a testament to your grit and determination. That is a lot of young men are lacking that today. Grit and determination.
So they all want to be princesses now.
They want you to open
Why
their
can't the
door.
girl buy the house?
Yes.
And I move in.
And your ability to set boundaries, even when it's uncomfortable, shows how much you've evolved and learned from the past. Thank you for sharing this.
I really, really appreciate you doing this, because mommy thought she could try again, thinking, well, and did you
Don't
see
let your
how-
parents take advantage of you. People, I always say this to people all the time. No matter how good people have been to you in the past, right? So say let's say I have a sister. Let's say you and I, we're sisters. I get 10K from you.
Yeah.
And then I do what I want to and I'm great with that. You know, now I've been good. And then I pay you back. So I pay you back 10K. But now there comes a point, and I'm older than you, and you think you can disrespect me or talk to me anyhow just because you've done something good, or that I must take your crappy... No.
Yeah.
Previous help or previous niceness does not give you pass for future disrespect.
Absolutely.
Also,
Absolutely.
and our parents, like I said, we need to talk about these things in our communities. Our parents, we didn't ask to be here. Each and every one of us, we need to do better, and we need to set those boundaries, and we need to have these conversations, and we need to have them in a respectful manner.
He said she suggested I help her purchase. He didn't say she asked. He didn't say she pled with his human side. She suggested. What kind of audacity do you have after taking somebody?
The audacity of a mother.
Like, let's assume he bought a really cheap house. He was going to buy a cheap house, and he only had 10% down. Let's say it was like 180.
Yeah.
He still had to have at least 20 grand saved.
That's what I'm saying.
And you took it all.
And you haven't paid it back.
Paid back. Is it I didn't say she should borrow me. I didn't say borrow me. I said I'm taking it. and you still have the same nerve later.
But he's also got other siblings. It would be interesting to know why didn't you ask one of the other siblings to give her the money for the council house?
He said they aren't in a financially they're not financially.
Do you know what's so funny? Do you know what I find funny about that? Is that not what's so funny? I feel like, when you do wrong by one child, because God gives you 2 children, 3 children, 1 child. If you do wrong by one of those children, the way the house of cards will fall.
That's interesting.
I always see that. I've seen that pattern. And also to people who are parents, young parents, if you've seen a pattern in your family history, please try and break the cycle. Please do not continue with that pattern. For example, if you have 2 children, boy, girl, one is older, doesn't matter who is older. But if in your family pattern, one can always be the youngest is always disrespectful to the eldest, and nobody says anything, and that's repeated itself again. And you have those children, do not let it be repeated.
You better check them.
Do not let it be repeated in your lineage. Like things like that. Or people just borrowing money from each other and then causing problems. If that's a pattern.
It's your mom. Like, this is meant to be someone who is sacred to our upbringing, and I just want to like appeal to not just the guy who wrote in, but anyone
and to parents
and to people who have
do
experienced this. Yeah, like I just feel like, yes, do better, and you know what? Use this as a learning experience. Just think about the impact it's made on you, because as a result, some people decide they don't want kids. Because they don't want this, and I'm not even here to tell you to change your mind, because that's down to you.
Having children is hard. I'm not encouraging that.
I'm not telling you what to do with your life.
I'm not encouraging that. I tell you all the time, I don't encourage that.
So yeah, I would just say you're doing a great job, guy.
Well done.
Well done to you, and to anyone else who's struggling there with like parental toxicity,
or financial, like just need the financial, just let us know. So we will try and help as much as we can.
Honestly. And yes, thank you so much. We appreciate you guys. Please don't forget to comment down below and give him some
subscribe.
Yes, please
Subscribe.
all of you, subscribe. Use your other accounts to subscribe as well, and follow us on Instagram and all other platforms. All right guys, thank you so much for watching. See you next time.